Thank you so much for joining Straight Out of Savannah, talking with Tammy. My guest, Jamie Arias, is here. I'm so excited that she has finally decided to join me. So she's going to share a little bit about herself and what her vision is.
Hi, yes, I'm excited. Thanks for having me. So, I am a relationship coach and I work with mothers and daughters specifically. And what that encompasses is any mother daughter relationship. So, stepmother, stepdaughter, in laws, all of that. And really helping them to upgrade the relationship and also to heal some of the hurts, maybe that have kind of continued on for a long period of time and they've just kind of gotten in the way of those relationships. So, yeah, I'm super excited about that. I actually have a Facebook group for mothers and daughters too.
What's the name of it?
Mother and daughter relationships.
Okay, easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome,
I like
awesome.
easy.
Exactly. And
And
I'm
those
sure that,
relationships are not easy. So I have some great tools to help with that because they can be some of the most difficult relationships I think that we have.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So my first book was called Unchain Your Mama, and it was about mother-daughter relationships. So I totally agree. And I actually wrote about my mother because that relationship was crazy for a long time. And actually, the healing that came from writing that story and the fact that she was one of the first people to buy it. So that was like amazing. And now, our relationship has just totally transformed. I talk to her almost every day. And not because I don't want to, but because I want to.
Right.
Because there's always that, I feel like I need to do this, so I'm going to do it, but it's not that way anymore, and I'm so super excited. So this group I think is really going to be helpful to people, to fix those relationships. Maybe to give people perspective on the other person, because a lot of times, especially as a daughter, you don't get perspective on your mother as a person,
You
and as
don't.
a human, you just think about them as your mother. And so that is a lot of what needs to transform. So how did you decide to pursue this work in your business?
So I've been doing a lot of training in trauma, and I wanted to combine my art too. I'm also an artist, a painter, and so I was like, okay, so how am I gonna do all this stuff? And then I realized that really the most powerful thing that I've transformed in my own life is that relationship with my mom. I mean, we had no relationship or a bad relationship or whatever you want to call it, very dysfunctional for 44 years. I mean, from when I was a child. I mean, there just was a constant rub and so the fact that I was able to turn that relationship transform both of us really and it in doing that and I would guess that you had the same experiences that it changed really every other relationship in my life and
Yes.
everything.
Yes, because it gave you such a different perspective. And I liken it to growing up, because when you're younger, you see things one way and basically just one way. And then
Yeah.
as you grow, my grandmother used to say all the time, live a little longer. And I find myself saying that to my children. Just live a little longer. Whatever's going on with you, it's going to change,
Yep.
one way or the other. Live a little longer. And so I laugh because when she used to say that, she would say stuff like I would ask her about something that was going on because I had a really close relationship with her,
Hmm.
much closer than with my mom. And so I would ask her, what about this? What do I need to do about that? And she would give me this terrible answer like Jesus, what I used to say. I said, why are you giving me a parable? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? Right? Can you just give me the answer?
Yeah,
Just get
can
to
I
the
have the
point. Yeah.
short answer? The
Yeah,
short one,
exactly. Yeah.
And so she would give me these parables, and of course, I wouldn't understand what the world she was talking about. And then later on, it would come to me, and I was like, okay. And then I would remember that she said, you just need to live a little longer. And I was like, okay, all right. And now, of course, now I understand that. So when you started looking at your relationship, because what were you doing before as far as business?
So I have actually probably over the last 5 years have tried to move into coaching and have struggled with the whole niche thing and where I fit in. And I'm really actually a teacher at heart. Like that's what I am first, is a teacher. And um, and that's what I did in this relationship, is taught myself how to transform myself into um, creating a relationship. So I used really everything. I used my creativity, I used my teaching abilities, all of that stuff to transform that relationship and to transform me into someone who can have that next level relationship. And so I say relationship coach, but I'm a course writer, a teacher, a daughter, a mother, all of those things. And I think you have to have all of those things to transform those. These are big relationships, you
Yes,
know.
yes,
And I think you have to really want to do the work in
yes,
order to transform it. Um, when I started um, working on it, in about 2012, I had a lot of health issues too, and I think that's kind of that, like what you're saying, that growing up and life just like hitting you right between the eyes. And I at one point I was actually starting to lose my vision, and went with my mom to this specialized eye surgeon to kind of look at and see what was going on. And I had I don't know what other people's experiences are, but sometimes when we have like a disability, or we have something going wrong or whatever, we become really good at hiding it, and people don't really know, like, actually really truly what's going on and to what extent. And so when he put the eye chart up, I couldn't even read the big E with my left eye.
oh wow,
Yeah. And my mom was in the room and she just lost it. She was like, what's going on? Like, really? Like, you know what the letter is? And I go, I know what the letter is, but I can't read the letter. Like, and at that point, I had a lap band, and the lap band was failing. I mean, I couldn't. I was in, and the endometriosis was so far. I was so far in it at that point, and ended up having stage 4 and never realized that I had it. So I could hardly walk. I mean, I was like 365 pounds. I was full of fluid because of the endometriosis throughout my entire body. I was losing my eyesight, um, and had gastric bypass surgery coming to get rid of the lap band because they knew it was failing because it was covered in endometriosis. And so at that point, I was, and I had to go stay with my mom for a week.
oh
And
wow.
yeah, and then I ended up getting an infection, and I had to stay another week. And so it was like, okay, so how are we going to do this? And I'm recovering, so I'm not like full of energy, and I'm not getting out of bed much because had this eye surgery, and I'm just a physical wreck. And so I said, you know what, I have to I have to figure this out. Like I have to do, whatever it takes. So that was probably what got the ball rolling, is all those things coming together. And then I started to do some personal development, and I was taking a course, and I was somehow able to like walk in her shoes,
Oh, wow.
and really understand from her perspective what life was like. And I'm 5'7", my mom is 5 feet tall, and my parents married really young. My mom and I are 2 weeks apart birthday wise. Um, and 20 years and 2 weeks, basically. So 20 years apart. So we raised each other. And so she
Dang.
was, yeah, so she had just barely turned 20 when she had me. And she's 5 feet, and I was like almost 9 pounds, 21 inches, like
Oh,
this
Lord.
humongous. Oh, yeah.
You tried to kill her.
Oh yeah, I did, and she kind of felt that way from the beginning, right? So I come out and I got a unibrow going on, and I was yeah, it just was like a rub from the very beginning, and I don't know what everyone's beliefs are, but I had someone tell me that I was actually, one of my purposes for being was to help my parents figure out their relationship, and it became clear before I ever uh, stepped out of the womb that that was never going to happen. And these two loved each other. That's a whole nother story, but they never could make it work. And so when I was 3.5, my brother was born, and my brother was born with chronic adult leukemia
Oh,
as an
wow.
infant. So all I knew as a 3.5-year-old was, who the heck are you, and why are you taking all my attention? Like what? Like what's going on here? Like my parents just like did a 360, and now they're with you and they're not with me. And so, like you were saying, as a child, you don't understand all the dynamics.
Right.
So once I was able to walk in her shoes and really understand like her perspective, then she and I had a conversation after that and really talked about what actually had happened from her perspective. And so here's two young parents with their second child. They go to the doctor on Christmas Eve, and my mom was like 23. I think my dad was like 26ish or something, like somewhere around there. And he sits him down and he says, "So your son's got a terminal illness and he'll probably die, and your marriage probably won't survive this. Uh, and Merry Christmas. See you later."
Wow.
Like no support, no like treatment, no nothing. Like, you're out of here. Thanks for stopping by and getting the information. Uh, and so that's that's where my parents were at. And so they were like, okay, so he's probably going to die, so we're going to obviously spend as much time and give him as much attention as we can. And then obviously it put all this pressure on the relationship. And then what my mom found out later is my dad actually blamed my mom. But my dad died of leukemia,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's not a genetic disease.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So,
Wait, so your brother was born with it and your dad died from it?
yeah, and my brother survived. And I
Oh,
don't think that you get to make deals with God, but that man made lots of deals. Like,
yeah.
I'll take it, and please let him live. That's what parents do, right? That's what we do. We're on
Right.
our knees for whatever it takes for
Yes.
our kids, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so here's all these dynamics in these relationships, right? And then my mom drank in high school. She blacked out, and she was a screamer. But my mom's 5 feet tall, and in order to get her point across, I think sometimes she felt like she had to scream it out, right? She's got kids, like she's looking up and they're towering over her, and she's a single mom running a business, uh, and she wanted to go out and have a good time too and fit that in somewhere along the line too, and we were always saying, well, how come you're leaving us? And I mean, she worked 12, 14-hour days. And so it was a lot of work. And I knew that I could never change her at that point. At
Right.
44, when I decided to take this on, I knew I was never going to change her because I had gone to therapists with her alone. I had not talked to her. I had talked to her. I stopped taking calls after a certain time if she had been drinking. The whole family didn't accept calls after a certain hour. All that stuff, and nothing was working. Like none of it worked. Uh, and so yeah, so I just started working on me. And same thing that you did. My first book, she was one of the first ones that bought my book, and she's like, and she's always said, you have to write a book, you have to write a book, and you have to be a teacher, you have to be a teacher. And and she's kind of sorry in a way because teachers don't get paid that much, and she sees how much I work and and all that stuff. And so yeah, so we transformed the relationship, and then we plopped my stepsister in the middle of it, who has PTSD on top of PTSD on top of PTSD, and tons of trauma, and has never worked a day in her life, and or very little, not supporting herself. So now my parents are supporting her and trying to work with her, and she just jumped right in the middle of that relationship. And so then I had to step back again, and I'm like, okay, so am I done? Am I just putting my hands up and I'm now giving up on the relationship that we finally built? So it's not like you don't do it and it's done.
No, it's an ongoing
Y-
thing.
It is, and I think that's what, I think that's where people go wrong is they think, oh, we healed this hurt and there'll never be another hurt, or there'll never
Right.
be another disappointment, or there'll never be a no. I mean, she freaked when I wanted to move here. Her and my stepdad both sat me down and they're like, okay, so what's the plan and what are you. And then my stepsister, that, like, they were like, fine, whatever you want to do, go do it because we got to deal with her, you know. So, and I think, in dealing with, in doing some of the education and trauma and all of that stuff is in hopes that I can get to her somehow too and help that relationship, and maybe she could have a relationship with them too instead of this, this constant rub.
And the thing
But
is, um, when I listen to you, I hear that maybe your mom felt like you were strong. In each of these instances, you were the strong one, so you didn't really need her. But
yeah,
these other people, they had all these problems, these issues, and they needed her most, but you would understand because you're the strong one.
yeah,
It's kind of what I'm hearing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And the fact that you can hold space for people and be a listening ear. Do you do more single sessions or do you prefer to work with groups?
I'm gonna do some coursework to start out with, um, and really create the space where people are ready to do what's needed to transform the relationship, because um, it isn't like you give somebody to even a therapist. You can't even. It, like I said, I went to a therapist. I went by myself. I went with her. I I I did it all. In fact, at one point I finished sessions with this therapist, and I had told her that I wasn't talking to my mom at that point. And on the very last day, she was like, "Oh, I thought you meant like you were talking to her like for birthdays and things like that." But I was like, "Which part of I'm not talking to her at all? Like, which part didn't you connect with? You know?"
She didn't hear you.
So no, no. And unfortunately, I think that's a gap with a lot of therapy, because a lot of therapists get into therapy, become therapists to help themselves. So
Yeah.
I think that and so I think that we have to start to get quiet, and we have to start to be open to what's possible, because otherwise you're never going to be able to step into that other person's shoes. And I think you have to, I think somewhere along the line you have to do that to really understand. I mean, her parents left and moved when she was 3. At 3, she walked, I don't know how, a mile and a half to find her family. Yeah, they left her. She was the only girl. And there's all kinds of junk in, in her growing up. And I was super close with my grandma, her mom, and that was hard for her too, because she wasn't a mom to her and she didn't protect her
Right.
from the big bads. And so that was another rub.
Gotcha. I identify with all of this because my mom was also young, 18 when I was born. So we did grow up a lot together.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was quite interesting. And I did have a really, really, really close relationship with my grandmother, and so yeah, I understand all that. Um, but it's so important to get these relationships on track.
Well, it affects you as a mother too.
Yeah,
I mean, what I know it was in the back of your head because I know what kind of mom you are.
yeah,
We've talked about that, and the kind of mom I am. I was not going to create that yelling, screaming
no.
cycle that I grew up in, and I had to work really, really hard as a mom to have that relationship. And then I came back around and fixed the other relationship. But my
Hmm.
mom loves being a grandma. She liked being a grandma way more than she liked being a mom. She told me that,
I
which is,
my mom's the same way.
yeah.
'Cause yeah, yeah, same,
Yeah,
same.
and I grew up in a household of perfection. That
Yeah,
everything had its place, and it had all the tables were glass, and everything had to be cleaned, and you had to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. She didn't care if you were a teenager or whatever your needs were. She didn't care. And then I had my son, and she was taking care of my son, and I show up the first time that I went with his dad, and we went and did some parent time or adult time. Came back, there were pots and pans and his toys everywhere, and I just walked in the house and I went, "Where am I?" And she's like, "Well, he can do whatever he wants. He's my grandson, and I love him." And
hmm.
yeah, and
And
it's
you're like, who are you,
continued.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She'll call me sometimes now just to check in and see how he's doing, and I said, "Well, give him a call and find out how he's doing."
He's got a
And
phone.
I'm good. Yeah, exactly,
I'm okay.
exactly. Yeah, or she'll call him to find out information about me. And he's Fort Knox. So she's like, "Oh, I'm not getting anything out of him. Darn it.
Hmm.
And but no, those really, they're critical, and if you don't fix them, it affects how much money you earn. It affects the kind of work that you do, the job that you have, your job satisfaction, your love relationships.
Yes, all of it.
I am just completing divorce number 3. Yeah. And I am not doing it again. I'm now looking at me and doing the work that I need to do for me in that area, those relationships. So
Yes, it's
it's
a
an onion.
snowball effect.
Yeah, and it's an onion. There's
Hmm.
layer after
Yes,
layer after
yes,
layer after layer. Yeah.
yes, that is correct. All right, so we're getting down to the wrap up.
Yeah.
So, what I want you to tell people, if there's someone watching that is in the middle of this type of relationship, mother daughter relationship, what would you say to them?
I would say, have compassion. Have compassion for yourself. Have compassion for if it's a mother-in-law, I mean, sometimes we don't get to pick our family. Sometimes they're picked for us. So,
Oh shit, you say that again.
right? Yeah. So I think compassion is number one. And it's got to go, it's got to go both ways. And I can tell you, you can transform any relationship. If no one would have believed that I would be able to be that close to my mom. I mean, we've made art together now. She has, it's funny when you're a kid, you have stuff on the refrigerator, right? That you make art that your parents put on the refrigerator.
Right.
My parents are super super picky, and they have 5 pieces of my art hanging in their house now.
Oh, that is so nice.
Yeah.
That's like the
Uh,
ultimate comp. Yeah.
yeah. So I say uh, you can transform any relationship. You just have to be willing to do it. And I have a group, like I said, of mothers and daughters that is a free Facebook group. I've got a few tools on Facebook, I mean on YouTube, and there'll be more to come on just how to kind of relax and be open and start to do some of that healing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Let people know where they can find you, where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so really, if you type in Jamie Arias, and it's Jamie, you can find me anywhere, but it's mother daughter relationships, and it's actually I have a link tree, which is Jamie Lynn Arias. So, and my Gmail is, and it's LYN, my middle name. So it's first, last, or first, middle, and last name. And that's really, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram, whatever and I'm getting more and more on Clubhouse. Yeah. I
Yes,
love Clubhouse. It's a
me too.
great,
I
yeah,
love it. I love it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do. Yeah. All right.
And I loved talking with you.
I
This
was
was
gonna say it's
so,
amazing. This has
yeah,
been just an awesome conversation.
yeah.
I know I say this every time, y'all, but it's just an awesome conversation. So many nuggets. I really believe that if you are having those type of issues with any relationship, I don't even think we can limit it to mother-daughter relationships, but any relationship issue, I think that you should reach out to Jamie because she can help
Thank
you.
you.
You're so
Yeah,
welcome.
I would love to.
I'm feeling you all. I'm feeling you, girl. So I'm like, yeah, yeah, she can. Um, I believe that just like you said, relationships are the core, because
Oh,
everything else just snowballs from there. Definitely. All right. So thank you guys for joining us. It's been a blast. We have had so much fun. Thank you for
yeah.
kicking it like good fellas with us right here on Straight Out of Savannah, talking with Tammy. And if you are a person that is changing the planet and you would like to come on here and talk about it, I welcome that. You can send me a message on any of the platforms that I am on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Clubhouse, you name it, I'm pretty much everywhere. So you can find me at any of those spaces. But I appreciate you joining, watching, or listening. And thank you so much for your time. And thank you, Jamie, for joining me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Yep.